Hey guys, Lizardlea here for day 15 of 4 Heavenly Beasts, the Heaven and Earth design. So, that's the progress from day 14. I have started page 3. Didn't get super far. Hopefully we get a little bit further today. If you notice that there's been some shifting, this nice big entertainment system here scooted that way, like a 1.5 feet or so. I don't remember the measurement. And then we scooted my desk over with it, and it's very nice. I'm much happier here. And I have the window directly in front of me rather than a strip of wall in between two windows. So that's nice. I don't know what my bangs are doing. I don't know what my hair is doing in general. Yeah, that's the only update I have. So let's get to stitching. Alrighty, there we go. So we said last time we were going to talk about Ava, so now we're going to talk about Ava. But Evangelion. Or what? No?
I was going to talk about Katana Gatari quickly first.
Oh, okay. Then Katana Gatari. I don't know what you're talking about. Go.
First of all, it's a fun name to say. That's important.
How is it?
It's Katana Gatari.
Katana Gatari. Oh, it's one word. Katana Gatari. Okay.
See? Fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really beautiful, and we should probably try it. It's, I think each episode's an hour long, and that's my complaint with it, because it's only 12 episodes, and it's a really cool idea. There's like, it's sort of Edo era Japan, and there's these swords that are out there that are like super, super powerful. Mm-hmm. And each one lets you do completely obscene, ridiculous stuff. And it's got a very bright and kind of almost cartoony look to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But it's got a very dark vibe at times. So these swords are super powerful, and there's a overthrowing of the government, I believe, at the beginning. And then a character finds our protagonist and wants him to help her get all the swords. Because he has been trained by someone, I want to say his father, who I believe was like the big badass before him, or during the overthrow or something. I'm going off memory, and it's been a while, but and so he is like trained in the art of fighting without a sword against swords, and is just ridiculously good at it.
Does he have another weapon, or is he like just hands?
I'm pretty sure he's just hands. It's been a long time.
What?
And then the extra interesting thing is that
he's Jet Li. I'm kidding. Continue.
Like it's really, really cool to watch. And she's like, "No, you can't break the swords. Don't do that." Like, whatever. But it's also very philosophical, and that's why the episodes are kind of long, because there's usually like a 15-minute. Like, today we're going to talk about, while we worry about how we defeat this swordsman. Like, I know one of them that lets him slice faster than the speed of light or something crazy.
That'd be terrifying.
Yeah. Physics is fun. And he's like sitting in a closet or like a hallway or something, so like they can't approach him from the side or anything, and that's the whole problem, is that you can't get around it, and so they spend like 40 minutes talking about something else, and then eventually they solve the problem. Anyways, I hear it's really, 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 really good, especially if you can make it all the way to the end, even though it's very, 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 very strange. But I couldn't make it all the way to the end because I just was kind of getting bored and lost interest, and then never picked it up. So I do plan on finishing it. I think you would enjoy it. Mm-hmm. We could watch it. It's probably a good one to like put on and leave on while you do something else. Like, I'm gonna see if there's a dub for this one, because like having to actually pay attention and read it all when I was like, don't care, oh cool.
How many episodes is it?
12.
Oh, okay, 12 hours.
Yeah. So
weekend.
And it is actually really good. It wasn't clicking for me. Like, sometimes I like philosophy, sometimes I don't, and it's a lot of it sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm really underselling the quirkiness and the oddness of this whole thing, because I don't want to at the same time spoil it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's cool. It's worth watching. I have no memory of that other than that. So on to Ava.
I have no memory of Katana Gatari, so.
Ava's a giant fighting robot anime. Like Gundam.
Sorry, what was that?
It's a summary.
Not an accurate one.
It's close.
No, it's not.
Okay, maybe it's a subversion. So, yeah.
Who are the pilots? Like, no.
Yeah, it's Gundams, it's kids.
They are children.
In Gundam, too, yeah.
Dude, they're like 12 here. The ones in Gundam look like they're in their 20s.
Gundam...
They may not be, but they don't look it.
Is high schoolers, I think? It's almost always high schoolers.
Yeah, well, I'm calling BS on that one because they look older. Versus in Ava, they look like they're 12.
Yeah.
They also act like they're 12.
Oh,
So
yeah.
And that was not a bad thing, by the way. I really liked Ava.
Yeah, So, I mean, to be blunt, it's hard. If you haven't seen Ava and you're into anime and you can handle dark stuff, you should see Ava. Because whether you like Ava or not, you should see Ava because it is unique.
Mm.
It is arguably about depression. It is mostly about, well, like at a surface level, the idea that there's these things called angels, which are, for whatever reason, coming to kill humanity in a post-apocalyptic world where a meteor struck the ice caps and so they melted and like a third of the population died. And there's lots of cool technology, but stuff's not great. And yeah. And then on a much deeper level, getting into spoilers, it's really more about, like I said, depression, and then the fact that these angels are pretty much trying to... They're what life on Earth could have been, is the rough summary. And they're trying to do that, essentially. It gets really, really weird, and we could talk lore all day. So, short version, really, really cool. I think so.
Yeah, so, how many episodes is it? 13 episodes?
Isn't it 24?
Is it? I don't remember. That's what I'm
I'm
asking.
pretty sure it's 24.
I've only seen it once.
I'm checking now. Oh, calm down.
Well, okay, so if it's 24 episodes, I was enraptured
26.
by the first... Okay, out of 26, I was enraptured by, the first 22 of them?
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where I was like, wait, what? Like, that's when I started to get a little confused. And it wasn't the final 2 episodes, it was prior to that. I turned to you and I was like, is this show an allegory for depression? And you were like, hey, you got it!
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my god. Like, it's so crazy because this poor boy, because that's what he is a boy, is, like, he's trying so hard to, like, not necessarily be the good guy, but be the one to save everybody. Like, he has the ability to get into this robot and connect with it on a level no one else can and be a super badass. And his dad prefers Rey, who is a robot. She's not actually a robot, but she comes across that way because she has, like, no emotions. I am Asuka all the way, by the way. 100% Asuka. Anyways. And like, he tries so hard, and he gives up, and then he comes back, and everybody just constantly makes him feel like crap. And it's really sad, because he is a child. But he keeps getting back up, and it is a ride. It's a freaking trip.
Yeah.
And Asuka's crazy, and I love that.
Yeah, yes, she is.
I would just like to point out, I remembered people's names from this show.
Yeah.
I'm not good at that.
No, you really aren't. What about Misato?
I liked her. I will say the first time I watched it, her ex-boyfriend, I freaking hated him.
Mm-hmm.
I hated him. And I just constantly, every single time he was in a scene, I'd roll my eyes and I'd huff and I'd get angry. And at the end, David was like, do you really think her ex-boyfriend was that bad? And I was like, yeah, he was horrible. And he's like, even though we learned that she was the one who cheated on him, or like whatever it was. Like,
it wasn't that, but yeah.
But like, she was the instigator of them breaking up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're right. Like, when you first meet him, you don't know what happened in their relationship. All you know is that they broke up. The way he acts is the way I've met guys that, like, sleep around and they're just horrible people. So I just made this assumption. But you look back on it and you're like, no, it was her. She was the reason, or, like, the majority, like, 2/3 of the fault, at the very least, is on her for why they broke up.
Yeah, it's not black and white.
Exactly. And so me unfairly hating him because of the kind of guys I've met in the past, I felt really guilty. Like, I was like, oh, I am a bad person.
Yes, here I've been telling you. I mean, to be fair, he is not a perfect human being.
No,
He's by no means a good guy.
he was not nearly as bad as I was reacting to him like he was.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I made assumptions about him, and I'm a bad person. It's whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see.
I mean, are we like straight on?
I mean, I don't know.
Spoilers now?
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to not like dive hard into spoilers.
Well, I think one of the biggest ones. Seriously, if you guys are in any way interested in this show, you need to go watch it. You need to mute the rest of this video. You need to watch it.
And you should probably watch the movie that came out after it called The End of Evangelion, because it kind of...
I like the movies. Yeah, I think the movies are all of them.
No, I'm talking about the movie. There's...
Yeah, I know, but I think all of them are worth watching.
Yeah, but at the very least, you should watch that one, because it kind of helps wrap up what happened in the main story. And some people think it's not necessary, some do, whatever, but you should watch it.
So Rei is a clone of... Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Shinji.
Shinji. It is Shinji. Okay. Rei is a clone of Shinji's mom. And I feel like once you learn that, if you're a Rei shipper, you should no longer be a Rei shipper with Shinji. Because that's a clone of his mother? Like, what is wrong with you? But what do I know? I was Team Asuka before I learned this, by the way. I don't like the no emotions thing. It just creeps me out. And it makes me feel like she is not emotionally prepared to be in a relationship anyway, so the angels are just so beautiful. It is just amazing.
It's one of my favorite styles of, like, monstrous beings, because in a lot of shows, movies, whatever, you generally get, like, bipeds, because especially for live action, it's real easy to put somebody in a rubber suit if it's bipedal.
Yeah. Bipedal?
Bipedal, yes, thank you. But even then, I find it uncreative when all the aliens and the monsters look either like humans
Humanoid.
or bipedal creatures. I'm getting there.
Again.
And B, when they're all, or they look like animals, you know. And especially
there's something that you can look at it and be like, oh, this looks like this.
That is a spider. That is a dog. That is a lobster, you know?
Well, there was one that looked like a spider.
There was, and he is based off a thing. But even then...
He was still creepy.
At least they picked a kind of spider that is not very common. It looks really weird. It doesn't just look like your standard thing. It still looks freaking odd. Although, yes, there is a creature that looks almost exactly like that. So, yay, stranger. But yeah, the angels are really, really cool. They are just incredibly neat artistically, and they present narratively really interesting challenges, like how they have to deal with them. One's trying to fall on the earth. It's basically the size of a freaking meteor. Like, how do you stop that? One's got inverted dimensions, which they explain a lot better in the show. But
I can't explain that.
Its shadow is its body.
That was really cool.
Body is its shadow.
Yeah.
Which, if that doesn't make any sense, congratulations. It makes a little more sense if you watch it.
No, okay, but back to you discussing how humanoid monsters don't really frighten you or interest you at the very least. You have to talk about Pinhead and how that villain, how you really liked that one.
In what?
Pinhead. In...
Hellraiser,
there we go, yes. It was like, what, Hellraiser 3?
2.
2.
Oh, no, you mean Leviathan.
Yes, in Hellraiser.
Yes, Pinhead's the... Okay.
Yes, I couldn't remember the show that he's on.
Okay.
You always discuss this villain.
Yes. Okay,
when you talk about Ava.
Okay, so there is a movie called Hellraiser, and it had a sequel called Hellraiser 2, because they're really creative with naming. The movies are If you're not into violent horror stuff, don't watch them. That is absolutely what they are.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you
It's
are-
not necessary to watch these
Yeah.
movies in order to understand what he's talking about.
Yeah, they are, as far as violent horror stuff goes, I think on the better side of that, but that's a separate thing. There's a really interesting scene to me where basically the idea is that there are these hellish creatures who are coming into the world, and you don't really need to know why or how or what's going on, but the protagonists, main characters, have been dragged literally into hell. And you find out that these weird creatures who have all this torturous, evil-looking junk going on with them serve a master, and you're like, okay, who's the master? And the master is called Leviathan, Lord of the Labyrinth, because they live in this sort of, like, M.C. Escher labyrinthian nightmare
I thought you were
world.
going to say MC Hammer.
Yes, dear.
Stop! Hammer time!
Yeah, parachute pants everywhere.
Imagine Pinhead doing that! Sorry.
No, we're good. We can wait.
You're good.
So, and in the center of the labyrinth is this gigantic, like, elongated diamond-shaped, like, two pyramids stacked on base sides facing.
Diamond.
Structure thing, and that's Leviathan. It is literally a giant obelisk, and it's got this, like, negative light spotlight sticking out of it, like black light, as it,
Rotates around.
the light, like, rotates around it, and when it hits people, like, they see horrifying and just terrible things. And I thought that was actually really, really good way to get, like, a sense of foreboding and creepiness. The idea that this thing is so alien you wouldn't even recognize it as alive.
Yeah, you'd think it's like a building or something.
And yet it has, not only is it alive, but it is capable of malicious intent. I think that's really interesting. And Ava definitely is on that scale with its designs, where it's got these really cool ideas, and they're really, really out there, and it's hard to even understand or comprehend what the hell is going on, and you're just like, well, it's doing this, how do we stop it? And the thing is they always show up near where this base is for plot reasons.
Yeah, in Japan.
Yeah, which does make sense when you know the plot reasons.
Yeah.
So they've always got, maybe a day to stop this thing. So here's an alien that you've never seen before, of immense destructive capability usually, or incredible, durability, or all of the above. And you have somewhere between, like, 2 hours and 36 hours, if they can nuke it, to, get it to not kill everyone on the planet.
Yep.
So yeah, very fun.
I forgot. So the most important thing about this was as soon as we meet Ava 1, so Shinji's robot, the purple one that you mostly see in, like, previews and whatnot. Yeah, it's the famous one. I would constantly scream out that Ava 1 was my favorite character. Like, what was the first thing it did when Shinji was there and Rei fell off the table and it moved to catch something so it didn't crush Shinji, or
there was an earthquake an attack from the angel, and the stuff fell from the ceiling and it moved its hand to stop it from falling.
Yeah, and Shinji wasn't inside of the robot. So I was just like, Ava 1's alive. Ava 1 is my favorite character. It has the coolest design. It's awesome. Ava 1. And David would just laugh and laugh and laugh. And so I was like, what the heck? Why is this so funny? And he's like, it doesn't matter. And he would tell me that, he'd go on Discord and tell all his friends that Ava 1 was my favorite, and they'd all laugh. And I'm just like, it's the coolest thing on this show. Like, it's not funny. It's the coolest thing there. You're all wrong. So then I was just like, oh, okay, well, the robot's going to get crushed, obviously, because it's my favorite, and my favorite character always has to die. No. So, Ava 1 is Shinji's mom.
Mm-hmm.
or the consciousness of her, like something, yeah. So, yeah, no, my favorite character was a character all along. I called it. I win.
Yeah.
But that is why he was able to pilot the robot so well, because obviously Shinji's mom loved her son, so she's like, yeah, like, we're gonna go kick some ass. I'm gonna keep you safe.
I mean, it's a little more complicated. Well,
yes, but I'm like, we don't have to get into that.
I just more meant that, well, the whole point and the sort of dark thing about this thing, since we're heavy into spoilers, is each robot is someone's parent like all the children that Shinji goes to school with all have potential parents who have died, or potential loved ones who have died, who could be put into the robots so that they could become pilots. And thus, same with Asuka, her mother, and Rei herself. Rei's complicated.
Yeah, Rei is weird. So it's really weird so Rei can get into Ava 1 and vaguely work with it, but it often rejects her, which I agree with, because it's like, yeah, no, if you're gonna clone me, you don't make me a dang child. Like, no. Yeah, no, Ava 1 was so cool, though. Asuka, when I learned her backstory of how her mother started to believe that this doll was Asuka, that was heartbreaking for me, because it's like, I totally understand Asuka's trauma now and why she's so crazy. Like, she was living with a woman who thought her daughter was this doll, and then she hung herself in the end, didn't she? Or no?
Asuka?
No, Asuka's mom.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Well, no,
Asuka saw it, didn't? Or no? I don't
she
remember.
did. It's just
It's
so much
depressing.
worse than that.
It's so
So
sad.
Asuka is really, really sad because her mom basically thinks the doll is her, and so
Yes,
she
I said
spends her
that.
whole childhood trying to get her mom's attention. And the point where the mom asks, like, do you want to die, basically, and Asuka's like, sure, mommy, let's go die, 'cause she just desperately wants attention from her mom, and she leaves or something. I forget the specifics on this, but the short of it is, the mom still wasn't talking to Asuka, she hung herself in the doll.
And the doll, yeah.
Yeah, so even in the end, she wasn't talking to her daughter.
She was talking to the doll.
Yeah, so, like, it's extra, extra sad.
Yeah. That poor girl, like, I will say when we first met her, I was kind of like, okay, this girl's crazy, alrighty. But then I went to her side. Like, yeah, she was a freaking badass. She worked really hard. And then it was like, I see why. Like, this is horrible. And so the guy who came up with this, he's gone through periods of depression, right?
Yes.
That's what he was drawing on.
Yeah.
The last 2 episodes, the style is completely different. Like, I would say the art quality goes in the trash. Like, some of it isn't colored. It's minimally animated.
If at
It
all.
completely changes. But there's a point to it. Like,
Yeah.
it's, you know...
Third impact.
Yeah.
Or second impact?
Second impact?
Yeah, second impact.
Well, no, because they've had 2 impacts, haven't they? Or heck, I don't remember. It's very confusing. It's been a little while since I've watched it. It's good, though. And is there still one more movie that we're waiting
Yes.
on? Yeah.
So, the spoilers on those is... he did some remake movies, except they're not actually technically remakes. So unlike a lot of animes where they go ahead and take like a series and they put it into so many movies, he did the same thing, and the first 2 movies feel like they're following the original exactly, like, okay, this is just a remake, but there's little hints that it takes place after the original series, and then it just goes completely off the rails in both a good and bad way in the 3rd movie. Well, end of the 2nd, start of the 3rd. And so then it's completely different. Like, it's like, oh, wait, none of this happened before. What's going on? Where's so-and-so? Where's this? How's this? Who the hell's that? What's going on here? Who are these people? And who knows how it's going to go.
And then Asuka has an eye patch, and she's like a commander general thing. I don't know. It was Asuka all the way. Asuka all the way. Okay, we have like 3 to 4 more minutes. Would you like to discuss more, Ava? Is there anything else? Like, which of which of the angels was your favorite? I don't remember. Was it the rainbowish one?
Let's see, I
Or was
really
that one
like-
my favorite?
Mister.
I need to actually see them to remember which ones were my
I
favorite.
definitely like especially in the movie, I think it's Ramiel or whatever, the one with the drill that looks like a diamond.
Mm-hmm.
So in the original anime, that one's cool already, but in the movie, when they had a higher budget and, modern CG techniques, it's freaking cool. Like, it's this geometrically changing shape thing that shoots lasers, and it's just awesome.
Sorry, I'm literally Googling them because I want
That's
to.
fair.
I don't remember.
I also really liked. Well,
The one with the shadow was really interesting.
that was a
just
big deal
in
for me
that.
because like I was watching this as a kid because again it was one of those things that was playing on TV when I was watching anime, and it was so intriguing because like I never finished Ava the first time, or like I did finish it, but I was so freaking confused because it was something I was managing to catch every night. So I was actually watching it as it was coming out. The ending was super weird, and it was so dark because like it starts off at a fairly dark and bleak tone, but like it kind of lets you believe that things are getting better and look, they're working out their differences and stuff's going okay, and then it just kicks you in the teeth. And even when stuff's going okay, that shadow one is scary. Like not in a sense of like, oh my god, I'm terrified, but just like, one of the characters almost dies, and you don't know that they're going to be okay. Like, well, you kind of do. But at the same time, they keep that threat very, very real, because it's like, God, how did that happen? What do you even do? Like, this person sank into it,
Mm-hmm.
Have you found them?
I found a couple different ones. I don't know if these are the ones from the movies, because the one that I want to see are the ones from the show. I mean, they're all awesome, obviously, but
Yeah, and there are some different angels in the movies.
Yeah.
Later on.
I really liked the diamond one. That one was really interesting. But there was one that like
The rainbow one, huh?
I thought there was one that had a lot of colors, but I'm not seeing one with a ton of colors. I don't know. Is this electric one?
Let's see. That's the one that mind attacks Asuka.
I don't remember which one was my favorite. I mean, they're so different that it's hard to be like, oh yeah, this one's cooler than this one. Like, what? I did like the one that looks like the final boss from Kirby 64.
The one that fell from the sky, yes.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, it was so interesting, you guys. And now that I'm seeing Ava 1 in some of these pictures, Ava 1! I would literally shout that out every time Ava 1 was on the screen. Ava 1! Just like anytime there's a cat on the screen, kitty! So, that's how I roll. Okay, we're at the end.
We're at the end?
Yeah. What's next?
What is next is kind of the question, because we are getting pretty far down the list. So, I mean, is there, like, something you want to talk about specifically? Because, like, we can keep going on the list, but we're getting pretty far down. So, like, we've watched other stuff that we haven't talked about. Should we just pick one and...
I mean, we need to start writing these down if we're going to do that, because otherwise we're going to forget what we talked about and what we
We'll
haven't
just talk
talked
about it at the last of the other one. At the end of each episode, we'll be like, okay, here's the...
No.
No?
No.
Why?
What is next?
I'm having trouble pulling up the list. It won't.
You should have already had it up, handsome man.
I love you, dear.
Your one job! No, I'm kidding.
I have many jobs. Okay, so we're on page 3 of this.
And he's on page 2 right now.
Oh, whatever, woman. Let's see here. Oh, Kenshin. Have we talked about Kenshin?
Rurouni Kenshin?
Yeah. We technically skipped that. So.
I don't remember.
So Kenshin we could talk about next time. And the next in order, do any of these ring any bells for me? I saw No Game No Life. It's overrated. And unfortunately does stupid things.
Okay, so we already have a couple to talk about. Cool.
Yeah.
Bye.
And that is the end of 4 Heavenly Beasts Day 15. I got 4 hours of footage. I don't feel great. I've been feeling kind of off since like not even an hour into stitching, and I just bleh. So I'm calling it quits. It's only like 7:30, but I'm not getting anything done, and I meh. I don't really have anything else to add, so like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next video.